Hello, good evening, welcome to gunnersdaily YouTube channel. How are we feeling today? Today we are here to talk about the latest Arsenal news, and well, the latest news from today are: is Aaron Ramsdale planning to leave Arsenal this January? Or better said, what are Mikel Arteta's future plans for David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale? So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So, ahead of this international break, England manager Gareth Southgate has told Aaron Ramsdale he could not promise a Euro 2024 place if he remained on the bench. Ramsdale, 25, has made only 7 starts this season, with new signing David Raya taking over as first-choice goalkeeper. Mikel Arteta said that Aaron Ramsdale has a really important role in his team, and when asked if he would understand if Ramsdale wanted to move clubs in January, Arteta said making early decisions is not something good at all. We just want the best for our players, and we try to do that, and we know the influence that we can have, sometimes positively, sometimes not so positively, towards them, Arteta said. This is a team sport that needs 24 players that have to fulfill a role, and the role that you have in August, it might be very different to the one you have in March. So making early decisions, in my experience, is not something good at all, and as well because the team has certain needs that has to be accomplished. You need everyone, and Aaron has a really important role in the team. Ramsdale has been called up by Southgate for England's final 2 qualifiers against Malta and North Macedonia this month, and will be aiming to add to his 4 senior caps. Southgate said that he had spoken to Ramsdale about his international future during the last camp. He's still battling to be number 1 at Arsenal, and his profile and the way he can use the ball with his feet we like, Southgate said. But, there is a reality as a keeper. If we get to March and he's 6 months without playing regularly, then I'm never going to promise things that I couldn't guarantee delivering. That's what Gareth Southgate said. And those are the latest Arsenal news coming out today. So, in my opinion, I'm going to keep it simple. I think Mikel Arteta needs to address this situation as quickly as possible. Because if it continues to go in this direction, I think it will only get uglier later in the season. Because according to Arteta, both Raya and Ramsdale are good enough to be a first-team keepers, and they are both equally important to him. But in reality, Ramsdale hasn't featured for Arsenal in the Premier League since, early mid-September? And he hasn't featured once for Arsenal in the Champions League this season. And we are already 4 game weeks in. So I think we can all agree that this whole experiment from Mikel Arteta is turning into a complete debacle. And now, on top of having 2 keepers who are still not sure who is the first choice, and who will be here between the sticks next season, you also reportedly have unhappy Aaron Ramsdale in your hands, who is, according to the rumors, already thinking about permanently leaving Arsenal in the January transfer window. If he doesn't get more game time, so he can be included in the Euro 2024 squad. But those are rumors. We still don't know what is the real truth. But what we do know is that Mikel Arteta must resolve this situation as soon as possible. Because I don't see how this can benefit the club in any way. When David Raya makes a mistake, you see fans absolutely annihilate him on social media, and they ask for Aaron Ramsdale to be installed back on the goal. And then when Arteta gives Ramsdale a chance after 2 months and he concedes 3 goals, those same fans are flip-flopping and they want Raya back on the goal. You see what's going on? The whole situation is becoming very, very toxic, and I don't think it could go on for much longer. So that is how I see things from my viewpoint. So now I'm going to read out some of your comments from this morning's post, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this current problem that Arsenal have. So let's get into the comments. So, user IO7 says, as an Arsenal fan, this is fair enough. If the same treatment was given to Calvin Phillips and Maguire last year when he was on United's bench, I completely agree. Harry Maguire was on the bench last year for Manchester United for pretty much bigger part of the season, and he was atrocious when he was on the pitch, and he was still regularly called for England matchups. And don't get me started on Calvin Phillips. I mean, it's not his fault, but the guy is barely playing any football for the past, 2 years. BPT8825 says, Mr. Inconsistent Southgate strikes again. Some players under one rules and others aren't. If Ramsdale dresses up as Phillips or Maguire, he'll be fine. Third Carnet 927 says, Raya is there to make Ramsdale better. He is analyzing Raya's game and will improve his. Remember, Raya is only better than Ramsdale with his distribution. Ramsdale will learn and he'll be the best goalkeeper in the Premier League next season if he sits this one out. I agree to some extent, but you know what? I'm not really, if I'm being honest, I'm not a hater, but I'm not really impressed with Raya's distribution. I've been reading about Raya's distribution for the last 3-4 months. Oh, best distribution in Europe, top level distribution. He will give us 30 assists in a season. But in all honesty, it's okay, but nothing special, at least in my opinion. Astute says, lastly, Mikel Arteta should make this crisis reduced to an extent by playing Aaron Ramsdale in our last 2 UEFA Champions League games, because he deserves it. He took Arsenal to the Champions League with his superb saves last season. He is yet to get a stat in the competition. Mikel Arteta, give Ramsdale a UCL derby. Okay, I agree with this. I don't see how is it possible that Aaron Ramsdale still hasn't featured for Arsenal in the Champions League. I think he completely deserves to play in these last 2 UEFA Champions League games, but you know what? I don't think that will happen. I think Raya will be our first keeper in both of those games. And those games are what? PSV away and Lens at home. So I don't know. It would be perfect for Arteta to give Ramsdale a chance, but I doubt it. Rain says, Maguire and Calvin Phillips. Remember the names. True. Select Gully says, Ramsdale my goalkeeper. Raya has not been that much greater. That's why I think Arteta is keeping Ramsdale for later stages in the league. Also Champions League. But I see what you're saying, but that would also be stupid. I mean, what? Raya will be in the first 6 games of the Champions League in the group stage, and then what? What is Arteta going to do? In this what? Let's say Arsenal will play in the semi-final of the Champions League, and then Ramsdale will make his UCL debut in the semi-final of the Champions League against Real Madrid at Santiago Bernabeu. It just, I don't know. Things like that are just stupid to me. Okay, Taje8978 says, Ramsdale is Arsenal and we love Ramsdale. Hope he sticks with us. We need Ramsdale. I am so sorry for the way things went for him, but he needs to stand up, train hard and harder. He will be there for us. Come on, Ramsdale, you are a gunner. Mr. Chip says, Phillips, Maguire, Henderson. All of these players were guaranteed call-ups. Absolutely true. Phillips, Maguire, Henderson. None of those 3 guys should be called up for England squad, in my opinion. But let's get to the next one. Henry Baring says, Maguire is all I need to say. Arsenal 5323 says, I'd rather he stay and fight for his place just like every other player. But if he's ready to leave, bid starting at 80 million. Not many other proven goalkeepers at his level and age at this time. What would be Aaron Ramsdale's price on this current market? I don't know. 80 million, is that realistic? 80 million from Aaron Ramsdale. We paid what? 30 million, around 30 million if I'm not wrong. I don't know. Write down in the comments. What do you think would be the fair price for Aaron Ramsdale if he truly decides to leave Arsenal this January or in the summer? William Trillion says, unfair to Ramsdale from both Arteta and Southgate. Not his choice whether he starts at Arsenal when he's been decent in almost every game he's played for us. Southgate mainly picks favorites, so why is Ramsdale's game time only now a problem when lackluster players get call-ups no matter if they've played well at all? Agree. BNA says, Southgate says this like he would start Ramsdale anyway. True. Pickford would be his first choice forever, probably. James Mills says, but he will guarantee Philip and Maguire plays though. Paul Thompson, feel bad for him really when he got us where we are. Peter Mabe says, Arteta to blame for all this unnecessary debacle and probably destabilization of people's careers and livelihoods. Not all is lost though. Raya can still go back in January or Ramsdale should push for an exit in January. By the way, I don't have a dog in this fight. I agree, I also don't have a dog in this fight. I just want to know who is our first choice keeper. Is it Raya? If it's Raya, okay. We are backing Raya. He's our first choice keeper. If it's Ramsdale and Raya goes back to Brentford, okay, then it's Ramsdale. but this needs to be resolved. Mike Adams says the important role being FA Cup games and sitting on the bench all season. True. Abio Dunaredi says there are much important issues in the team than this. I agree, but this also has to be resolved. Lieutenant Colombo says he's an emotional person, doesn't realize he's young, he's got a long career ahead, should be working on his ball playing or he could end up like Joe Hart. Okay. Risa Gray says Calvin Phillips is the first man on the plane though. Skarksak says, oh come on, Ramsdale was a starter throughout last season and the season before that. He played very consistently as well and he still didn't feature much in the England games. This is bullshit. DTMWTD says Raya is on loan. If he is signed permanent, then Ramsdale should consider transferring. Meanwhile, train and get better. I agree. If Arsenal truly decide to sign Raya permanently next summer, I think it's game over for Ramsdale. If he will still be there at the start of the next summer. But I agree. Ajax2 says comments like this is why I can almost guarantee England won't win anything under him and we are going to waste Kane's prime years as well. Amazing job, Gareth. He was always a mediocre coach from his Middlesbrough days. Mediocre coach at best. Bare average in my opinion. Sean Aldred says he never got a chance when he was Arsenal's number one anyway. Bobo Pachinosuke says football will always be brutal. Greg says yes, but Maguire will start. Adena says Ramsdale deserves to move into a different club. Mikel has not been fair to him. Rahmat says don't listen Southgate Ramsdale. Even White didn't play for this squad. Yes, I completely forgot about that. Ben White hasn't been called up for England squad. We know there have been some conflicts on the inside. No one knows the exact information. But how is Ben White not playing in this England squad? I don't know. Ersik says either way he won't play even if he goes. Pickford's in all competitions Pickford has played. Olareva Ju says David Raya will not play against his current club Brentford because he's on loan, so Ramsdale can play with familiar faces again. He can prove to Arteta that he's still the number one goalkeeper. Early decision might jeopardize his Arsenal career. We all love Aaron Ramsdale. That is true. Next game, David Raya can't play against Brentford. That's in the contract. So Aaron Ramsdale will 100% be in our starting lineup. But I honestly think, knowing Arteta, that will be only for one game and one game only. And in the next game already, Raya will be back between the sticks. Sorry. Mr. Ambition says, but Calvin Phillips will make the team. Marcelo Pio says, Raya is on loan. This might be a phase. I don't know. Babes Knight says Southgate trying to force Arteta's hands by goading Ramsdale to move out of club in January. Kind of hypocritical when Southgate persistently names Maguire in his squad every time despite lack of game time. I agree. Gareth Southgate is a hypocrite. Harry Maguire hasn't been featuring regularly for Manchester United throughout the last season, and when he did, he was absolutely awful. I'm not even pushing it. But he was probably top 5 worst centre backs in the league throughout last season, Harry Maguire, without exaggerating. And he was still getting regularly called up for England. Make it make sense. On9 Francisco says he's not starting in England with Southgate anyway. Starting on the bench is not an important thing. Rude Nelson says 60 to 80 million, see a Ramsdale. Bolskin says, as an American, I feel for English fans. I can't believe you guys can constantly pick awful managers for tournaments. Yes. Mike Mickham says, right, 40 million, United and Chelsea, get your checkbooks out. There's already been some rumors that Chelsea are the first club mentioned regarding Aaron Ramsdale's potential transfer. Chelsea are reportedly interested in Ramsdale and they wouldn't mind bringing him this January. Law 3219 says England are making a huge mistake by wasting this golden generation of football talent with a manager like Southgate. Couldn't agree more. Sirbian says, personally, I would send Raya back, keep Ramsdale, spend the money elsewhere, especially as Ramsdale is taller, might have got to the Newcastle goal, that was a joke of a goal. Astute Hinrosu says, how many games has Calvin Phillips played for City this season? Yet he is in the national team. Southgate's agenda of forcing Mikel Arteta's hand will not work. He should concentrate more on making his team better. Angela Anikia says, Ramsdale needs his place back at Arsenal. I don't. Yes, Raya has performed well, but it's still not convincing to drop Rambo. Fitz Anderson says, Rambo in. Yat Hish says, and Maguire. Joe Houston says, Raya is clear. Ramsdale has to work hard. Scott Gray says he wouldn't play anyway. Pickford number 1, Pope number 2, Ramsdale number 3. Who's the better keeper currently? Aaron Ramsdale or Nick Pope? Write down in the comments. F. Southgate. Sean Aldred says, keep Ramsdale, let Raya back to Brentford, save 27 million. Southgate is a joke. I don't understand this manager. Southgate, you're a bum. Okay, so we have interesting comments down here, but that is pretty much it. So what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Who should be Arsenal's number 1 goalkeeper for the rest of the season? Raya or Ramsdale? Write down in the comments because I'm really interested to hear you out. And Gunners, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Thank you and see you on the next one. Peace.